like that's you need to find a sponsor that's like always in the same story. We have, I mean, the good thing is like for research, I think there's like no limitations as of how many visa can be issued compared to private institutions where like basically, I mean, like companies where like, I think like there's for H1Bs, I guess like there's like X number of H1Bs that are allowed per year. So that's like a really hard thing. But no, for like research, I think it's like that's one of the great things. It's pretty like it's not easy. It's just like I would say probably less complicated, and it's like a great opportunity to like learn, go study. I mean, not study abroad, but do science abroad and explore, be in big labs, famous labs, and things like that.
Did you have your PhD prior to that? Prior to getting
No, not at that time.
What degree did you have at that time?
I was like a master level. So you basically that was part of the program where they ask us to you can go abroad and like study. I mean, not study, but like do an internship of a couple of months in a lab, so you can get experience of what research is hands-on, and we usually don't have any restrictions for where you can actually go, as long as the subject is interesting enough and you can afford to go wherever you want to go.
So if the U.S. is trying to cure brain cancer, we can bring over as many Europeans as we like.
Yeah, there's like a lot of well, that's the thing is like I think the U.S. is a great place for opportunities like that, and you can like get talents from the entire world.
Yeah.
And give them a chance to
contribute to the research. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like a great way of thinking about it.
From your perspective on that, is there, if someone were to think, why didn't you do that in France? Is it the opportunities, that the research facilities, the culture here in America?
I think like initially I was very interested in like going like in an English-speaking country or like the US, just because as an experience, but also a lot of the high impact research is done like in the US. A lot of it's like the US is definitely one of the major hub for like science in general, and Europe has like couple of good places, but it's not the same as the US. So in terms of like funding and how much there is, it's way better than what you have in Europe. France has like, I think like over the last couple of years, investment in research has declined or like stagnated, while like the inflation kept going up. So at the end of the day, like it didn't really improve much, and I think it's it's, if you like, I remember so Emmanuelle Charpentier, so she her and Jennifer Doudna, they co-shared the Nobel Prize for CRISPR-Cas9 discovery like last year, and I remember like Emmanuelle Charpentier saying that she had to leave France because she could not do the research she wanted because France will not fund her research. And so she ended up going in other places in Europe or like in the world, just because she could not do the research she wanted. Nobody wanted to fund someone to study weird things about how bacteria defend themselves. Nobody was interested. Like, and that's oftentimes like, I think a big mistakes from a lot of like maybe governments or like people who don't understand science, because science is just like, you cannot request, I mean, science like takes forever. Like when I say forever, it's like it takes years. A lot, it's like years, but also like decades probably before you see something come out.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily need to look for something to come out, because science is about understanding the unknown. And Emmanuelle Charpentier and Jennifer Doudna, they're studying how bacteria defend themselves against viruses, which is something like you can think about like okay, but why is that important to any of us here?
Right.
Like, I mean, just when you start with that, like, it's true. Like, how could you expect that
Yeah, we're
this
not.
actually led to the discovery of CRISPR-Cas9, who actually allows you now to do genome editing and change, like, it literally changed the face of the, like, how science is. It's like definitely a revolution
Yeah,
in research
revolutionary.
in
Yeah.
biology. So no one would have expected such a thing. Same as all the Nobel Prizes who were studying jellyfish and how jellyfish, has those different fluorescent proteins.
Uh-huh.
And actually, that discovery made a huge impact in research, because it allowed researchers to now tag proteins with like different colors and see now in the cell where those proteins are. So
Okay.
a lot of like groundbreakings are not coming from the engineering part; they're coming about the basic biology. That's where you make the biggest discoveries, and then you can use that for other applications. But at the end of the day, if you don't have those, because you can take like, so nature has taken billions of years, I mean not billions, but like hundreds of millions of years to come up with a solution, or like things evolved, got better and things like that. It's hard to compete with nature in the lab over like 5 years and create something like, oh, I want to invent something different. So there's a lot of like things that we can take from nature that, have been perfected or like improved over the last millions of years, that you will never be able to like come out of the blue and make in the lab.
Yeah, because bacteria have been around for so long.
And they've been there for the beginning of times.
Yeah, so you wouldn't, looking at the research at the beginning, you wouldn't say, well, why do I care about how bacteria defend themselves? We're not trying to help bacteria. That would be the logical view on that.
But you can go the other way. So the way you can spin it always is, okay, let's learn how they defend themselves so we can attack them better.
Yeah.
Let's find weaknesses. Because, that's actually how probably they solved. So whenever you write a grant, you always like kind of are constrained by like, you cannot just say like, oh, I'm interested in understanding how things work just for the sake of understanding it, which is actually like how things should be.
Right.
But you always like, if you want
bacteria.
to get money, you need to tell like why it's important. And I think like probably a way of selling that project was probably initially by, saying like, by understanding how they defend themselves, now we can find the Achilles, how do you call it, like, what's the English word? Like, those like weak points of like the defense. So now you can maybe take advantage of that to kill them better now.
Right. Because in general, we don't want too much bacteria.
No, you want to avoid that, especially in a hospital.
Oh, yeah. That's terrible. If you could kill all the bacteria in hospitals, that would save a lot of lives. Where do you just...
but they evolve to actually survive.
Yeah.
So that's why like that's one I think a big issue for the future is a lot of our antibiotics are like, slowly not working anymore. There are a couple of strains now that are appearing that are actually resistant to multiple of the classic antibiotics.
So we need new ways to kill bacteria.
Yeah. And antibiotics are like not something that pharma companies are interested in developing anymore. So it costs a lot of money.
What's your thoughts on, or if you haven't thought of it, what's your theory on how the research visas in America can impact America's future? Like, if America's having all this research and they're able to fund it all, is America the one that's going to benefit directly, or do some of these published papers actually get spread out worldwide so it's not a direct benefit for America per se?
I think like the way, so you can think about like two things. Like one is the patent. So a lot of like the work that's actually in that paper is patented now.
Is it patented by the university or by your team, or how does that work out?
So it's usually the university who initiates. I mean, you request it, and then there's a patent office that takes care of those things, and you get it patented at the end of the day. So that's how you have the IP. and all of this for potential commercialization at the end of the day. And that's why it was a big fight actually between UC Berkeley and MIT over the CRISPR-Cas9 patents. Who discovered it first? But that's a different thing. It's like, so the universities have those.
Wait, so who got the credit for that
property?
Who got the credit? Who got the credit for CRISPR?
I end up like being MIT.
Okay, interesting.
So I just like the different rules, like who's the first one who. By the end of the day, you see like the ones who were credited for the discovery were not MIT, were actually Jennifer Doudna at UC Berkeley and Emmanuel Charpentier.
So Berkeley should have got it.
Well, I mean, there's a law, and like there was like a judgment, and they had like I think like a lot had to do with, and this is where like I think a lot of universities are not capitalizing necessarily very well on discoveries.
Yeah,
and I think like one of the things where who's the first one who files the patent is what counts.
Yeah.
So if you can expedite the filing of the patents by adding extra money, and that makes it faster. But whoever does that gets the credit. So I think that was the ruling at the end of the day. And then the law changed since then. I mean, I read a little bit of it. I'm not very familiar with all the details, but I think it's very interesting. So you have so that's one thing, how like you can monetize a discovery funded by the US, money and within the US. The other way you can like think about it is you also have the knowledge that's now in the US. It's like, I mean, knowledge is like huge. It's like knowing all these techniques.
Yeah, at the very least, Milos, the expert, is here in San Francisco.
Yeah, totally.
So in general,
because it's like,
no, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just like it's one way of actually holding or like benefiting. So being at the cutting edge makes you see the next step before the rest of the world.
Yep.
So whenever like something comes out, it always comes out like 2 years after the original discovery, right? Like the papers. So like we moved on from that part like already long ago, and we're already like in something different right now, like preparing like the next step. But the world already sees that now, so we already always have like a couple of years
head start.
Advance.
I have such a pessimistic view on like maybe either the future of America or some of the things that the government does wrong here in America. So to hear this, that so much funding is going into research and getting these visas, that sounds like probably a fantastic thing, a smart thing, I think, that America's doing. So it's great to hear this.